Welcome to Casey Cares, Kansas City's nonprofit voice. We're telling the stories of Kansas City nonprofits and the people behind them. Casey Cares is the intersection of the nonprofit and profit communities, making Kansas City a better place to live, work, and play. This Casey Cares segment is brought to you by the Ewing Marion Kauffman Foundation. I'm Ruth Baum-Biggis. It came as a surprise. Chip Anthony, an avid runner and an active, vibrant man in his late 30s, was diagnosed with a glioblastoma multiforme brain tumor, the worst diagnosis you could possibly get. With his devoted family, his wife, Kristen, their two young children, Cole and Caroline, by his side, Chip bravely battled against brain cancer, but lost his life in February of 2003 at the young age of 37. With the love and the passion of his brother, Matt, and support from family and friends, the Head for the Cure 5K was born right here in Kansas City, raising funds to help others fighting brain cancer. And by 2007, the Head for the Cure Foundation was born and has been off and running ever since, excuse the pun. They advocate, educate, and connect. And that's what it's all about in the battle against brain cancer. And joining us to share this incredible story and a friend of Casey Cares is Matt Anthony, Chip's brother and founder of Head for the Cure. Matt, it's always great to have you.
Ruth, so great to be here too. Just a quick, it's Chris. Chip is my older brother. Chris is,
So to our audience, that's a whole brain thing for me because I know all the brothers.
I know.
That's terrible.
We go way back. So we all shared high school together. Back. So Ruth, it's perfectly
so
fine.
Forgive me.
That's
me.
No
please.
worries at all. It's we're a trio. So, but you're right. I mean, Chris was he was the kid brother. So and it's so strange that this much time has passed and almost surreal. And that's the one interesting thing about Head for the Cure has given us a platform and a vessel to not only help people in Chris's memory, but to keep his memory so vivid and his presence so real. And that's been a great gift actually. And I often say that Chris has been my wingman in Head for the Cure all these years, and he truly is. He's he kicks me in the butt when I get discouraged, and I feel it in whatever sort of other dimension spiritually that exists. So it's really powerful.
That was one of my questions is to you. There's a passage of time. This year's the 20th anniversary for the Kansas City event.
Yep.
How does that feel or keep things going? 20 years is a long time.
20 years is a long time. Isn't it something? I think that it is a long time. And you realize I had a presentation earlier today to one of our longtime sponsors and told the story about how it started. And Chris worked for me at VML and how VML was such an important part of getting it going. And they continue to be. But I realized that so many of those people that were there in those days have either moved on to other careers, or many are still there, but there's so many new people along the way. So the story gets kind of retold, but the original story, the story of Chris, is what animates everything we do. So I think that in many ways the passage of time is sort of hard to calibrate, but on the other hand, it's the moments that matter, and that's kind of how I think about it. That I think it's probably true of everybody that has sort of a repetitive thing that is different each time. Do you know what I mean? Like, when sorry for this, but when Bonnie Raitt, I'm going to see her on Saturday, so, she's in her 70s and she's still rocking. And I know every concert, every piece about her is its own unique experience because it's in those moments, even though she'll play the same material. So that's kind of the same for Head for the Cure, that every moment, every event, every race is its own unique experience with unique people, but yet the resonance of how it started and the meaning to others is still the same. And so it's kind of both. Sorry if that sounds kind of deep, but it's the way I reflect on it a bit.
Well, and you created this out of personal loss and personal passion to see if you could change things. What was it that in you and the family and friends that supported you that enabled you to do that? I mean, lots of tragic things happen and people, go along with their lives and don't make a foundation.
Yes, that's such a great question, Ruth, and others have asked it over the years. And I think I would have to say that I do have, and this might be both an identity crisis and obsession, that I do tend to be relentless and have a drive that is innate, and that's part of it for sure. But mostly, it's the recognition that when things happen in our lives, we're impacted by them, and we have to choose things that are gonna guide us and hopefully make a difference. And this is the one thing that intercepted my life. And we do, other things to support people, but this one is the one that became sort of my identity, honestly. And so and a lot of it was going back to Chris before he passed. He felt that I think a lot of people that face a terminal diagnosis or any life-changing experience, they find meaning in that. Why is this happening to me? Not so much why did it happen, but why is it happening? Why did my life get presented with this? And Chris felt that, and he felt, well, if I can help another person who may be dealing with a similar or precise diagnosis, then that must be why. And so he made himself available to others that were in similar circumstances during his illness. And before he died, he reminded me of that. And he very simply said, I know I can count on you to help me help others as I have. And so it was sort of I think I'm remembering it the right way, but it was a conversation that basically was an easy promise to fulfill, because it was so genuine. And so that's part of it, is the fulfillment of that. And then honestly, Ruth, I have to admit, I think everybody, and with all your work at Casey Cares, that nonprofit helping others in charitable pursuits is a very rewarding experience too. And so I think that it's been said that you get what you give, and I have found that for sure. It has been rewarding. Now, it's also discouraging. Fundraising is tough, and a disease that we've dedicated so much energy and funding to, that has extended life, but we still are a long way from a cure. So that can be discouraging. But yet I think it's true too that our events, the joy, the hope that comes from Head for the Cure is the currency for the fact that it's not solved yet. And so, we sort of keep that moving as well.
You mentioned how fundraising is tough.
Yes.
And we were chatting before we started the webcast about, the pandemic did us no favors in terms of that. Can you share with us a little bit about what you are seeing and confronting, and how you're trying to move it forward or keep it moving forward?
You're absolutely right. Fundraising stuff. I think this time of year, especially in Kansas City, people see me coming and they cover their wallet. But it's I think that just generally, fundraising is there's recognition that an emotional connection is really what motivates people to give of themselves, and that might mean giving money as well. And certainly, nonprofits, the center of it is raising money. You can't sustain an organization if you don't have the support from others who believe in what you're doing and will fund you. The pandemic certainly caused some challenge, and I think especially for organizations like Head for the Cure that depend so much on event. Our platform is events. Our 5K in Kansas City, our biggest one. So we convene people. We use the event as a means to bring people together, and as the trigger for fundraising, support a team, sponsor. And when we were paused on in-person events and went to virtual, it really caused a setback, just in terms of emotional. So we did our best, we did our virtual 5Ks, and frankly, we exceeded my expectation, which was though a dramatic decrease in so in 2019 was our best year. 2020, I'll be real frank about it. We reduced our budget in half. We thought and we exceeded that by about 50%. So we were thrilled with how that. And last year was a little bit better. This year we're back to in-person events, and we have good momentum toward where we were in 2019. So that is the first thing, is that stay the course and find momentum, and then realize that the emotion, that the reason you're doing it. I mean, there are the same or even more people facing a malignant brain tumor diagnosis today as there were in 2020 or 2019 or 2017. So you have to sort of work through that and realize that the purpose still is alive, and you remind people of that. That's so then I think the pandemic notwithstanding, just the general evolution of fundraising. I think I've read quite a bit about how do people fund, how do people feel about giving during inflationary times, or when the economy is suffering as it has been. And you kind of have to work through that and just realize that's part of the macro situation. And just, I guess, and I'll be honest, I do, you have to battle through, if you know that a person has the means, and for some reason you still can't get them to commit. Well, it took me a while to realize, everybody has lots of things going on in their lives, and you can't you can't transfer your burdens to them. You just have to present them with the value in what you're doing, and hope that they will support you. And the most important thing is there are so many different connection points. It may be like me, my brother, a family member, or it may be a friend of a family member. So you find those sort of 6 degrees of separation, and then you connect them. The last thing is there even though fundraising, there still has to be shared value. There has to be a reason, and whether it's communicating the outcomes, what progress are we making, how are we stewarding your money, what are we doing with that money? How are we minimizing our G&A and focusing on the cause? So being completely authentic and transparent about your funding and where it's going. People want to know that, and that's true whether it's a $50 giver or a $5,000 giver. They want to know that. So I am not trained as a professional fundraiser. I'm like you, I'm a communications person, ran an ad agency. And so I guess I'm a copywriter, and you just have to be really straight with your message and continue to remind people of the value of our work. So that was a long answer. I hope I'm sorry.
It was a great answer. We're talking with Matt Anthony, who is founder of Head for the Cure, president of the board. So you talk about, being transparent and whatnot. 20 years in now, tell us a little bit about funds raised and where they go, because some of it stays right here.
Yes, a good bit of it stays right here. So you're right. So you, in the intro, you described, this is our 20th year of our Head for the Cure Kansas City 5K. And by the way, I'm proud of this, so I'm going to say it. There's been no other charity 5K. First of all, we're the largest charity 5K in Kansas City every year out of 200 or so charity 5Ks. So that feels good, right? And we have the longest tenure. So over those 20 years, no sort of event-based 5K has raised anywhere near the money in Kansas City. So we're proud of that too. So the staying power is there. So when we started, my brother was treated at MD Anderson Cancer Center in Houston. And so his doctor, Mark Gilbert, we set up the Chris Anthony Brain Tumor Research Fund. And initially the funds supported that fund. And Mark and I became pretty good friends after 5 years when we officially founded the Head for the Cure Foundation in 2007. We'd raised about $500,000, and I went down to Houston and met with Mark, and I said, okay, so the promise was we'd plow this into research. How can we do that efficiently and productively? And he said, the most important thing about diseases that are elusive in terms of solving the problem and finding a cure is collaboration. And he said, here we're at MD Anderson, but this is a disease that needs the help from others. And so I regularly said, Mark, collaborate with my friends, Jeff Razor at Northwestern, Vinay Pudavali at Ohio State, et cetera. And I'd love it if we created an organization that would share protocols, share treatments, and I think it would be a fantastic use of these funds. And I thought, boy, that sounds wonderful. So initially, I had the good fortune of naming it. It became kind of a mouthful. The Brain Tumor Trials Collaborative, a very literal name. 6 centers that has since grown to 35 centers, of which the University of Kansas Cancer Center, who's now, as you know, recently reached the highest designation as a comprehensive cancer center, is phenomenal. So their clinic is one of the hospitals. So nationally we fund the BTTC, but locally we fund. So half of our funds stay here locally, half go to the organization that KU is a part of, the BTTC. So okay. So the University of Kansas Cancer Center's neurological center, brain tumor center, receives half those funds. And recently, this year, we've set up a new platform to support pediatric brain cancer, realizing it's quite amazing, but brain cancer, sadly, is now the #1 killer of children who face cancer. So while leukemia has been largely eradicated in children, brain cancer is not. And so so recognizing that, we are redirecting energy and funds to pediatric brain cancer, and we're starting that with our own Children's Mercy Hospital here in Kansas City. So we made a significant pledge and grant to Children's Mercy, and we're going to start a similar collaborative built around Children's Mercy as this year and next year progresses. So absolutely, participation in Head for the Cure Kansas City primarily supports the University of Kansas Cancer Center and Children's Mercy and their pediatric brain cancer program. So we're proud of that.
Do the hospitals in the area collaborate, or are we still in kind of silo?
It's they do to a degree. I think what it comes down to mainly, Ruth, is that doctors do collaborate. The centers, and this is, I don't want to get in trouble here, but you do have, as a marketer, I recognize that even healthcare is a competitive environment, and so yes. So patient census is what drives revenue into a hospital system. So KU health system is a system that I hesitate to use the word, but I've spent my life recognizing this, competes with Advent Health and with the HCA, and so because a patient makes a decision, and they're, of course, get into the payers and insurance and all of that, but yet at the same time, I think the doctors and then the systems themselves recognize that they have to collaborate, because especially for the tougher diagnoses that again, sharing tissue and considering different alternatives, and we certainly feel as part of our job is to be an intermediary, and as it happens, while KU is a sponsor and a large beneficiary, I'm meeting tomorrow, in fact, with Dr. Aman Kalra, who's the head of neuro-oncology at Sarah Cannon Cancer Center, that research medical center. So, right. And he's amazing. And we have a number of patients that Head for the Cure supporters that are treated by Dr. Kalra, and others that are treated by Dr. Tunser at KU. So the doctors themselves certainly share. And I think the systems recognize that a rising tide lifts everybody.
You have kind of a unique vantage point in terms of having to do a dance, because you're raising money and then putting the money out. And I would imagine looking to see where the biggest bang for the buck, bottom line being finding better treatment and cure. So how do you manage that, Matt?
That's the one that sort of, I don't say keeps me up at night, but it is, and so much of it is, again, back to the point of you want to be a steward for every person that says, I trust you that your organization will take my money and put it in the right place that helps people in my loved one's name. And not being a doctor, you have to trust others along the way. But I think certainly learning all we can on what trials are showing the most promise. We have a number of industry partners who, including Novocure, who's got the latest FDA-approved treatment called Optune. We're close with them. Another one, Gamatile, out of Phoenix. So I'm not a doctor. My gosh, my Shawnee Mission South biology and chemistry classes are about the last. I went into journalism, so but enough that at least you can be. You try to learn enough so that you're conversant at least when a patient has the right questions, and we put them in touch with the doctors. But yes, we fund trials. We also are doing more programs that help patients just cope with the disease today. We've created a tool called the Brains for the Cure, which is a navigator that allows patients to. It's an online platform that they may be at different stages of disease progression, and we have 400 videos that we produced from doctors, patients, caregivers that will talk about anything from how can I exercise with a brain tumor, or what do I tell my children, or how do I present this to my coworkers, or so it's human conversation as much as medical conversation, and that's a real valuable. So Ruth, the way we're kind of looking at it now is that we have two jobs. We since this is still a disease that takes the lives of many, it has a low survival rate. Malignant brain tumors still have a low survival rate. So what can we do to help patients today, patients and their families? That's super important. Support groups, survivor groups, just hope. And then what can we do to help patients tomorrow? And that's more the longer term clinical research. And so we kind of look at both of those as our responsibility, and we do the former, the help patients today, is through our programs like Brains for the Cure and survival groups and those kinds of things. Tomorrow is partnering with KU and Children's and the Brain Tumor Trials Collaborative to fund clinical trials. So
when you started the walk or the run.
Run, walk, yeah.
But
more
people can walk.
Run now. It's funny. When we started it, there were more runners. I'm not sure what that says. I think we were about 70% runners in the first few years. Now it's probably 40% runners. But we take off.
Oh, that's interesting. So, well, people want to come and have fun and,
they do,
and support
exactly,
your cause.
exactly.
So that's a good thing.
Absolutely.
And then when you started take a look back. Did you ever think this would be where you're at? And
I did not. I mean, it was certainly not. We didn't sit down and say, let's make this a national organization that has staying power and helps more people. But we did think, boy, how can we help? How can we help more people? And I mean, nobody does anything alone. That's for sure. I had, I guess, most of the energy. If we talk about nonprofit, my wife Anne reminded me recently in a very, I think in a gracious way, but she said, Matt, I was thinking, I'm guessing that you've spent over 20,000 hours in your free job. So it's said, how'd you figure that? And 1,000, and she might be low, but I've been blessed, and I've been able to, use my career in persuading people to buy Colgate toothpaste over Crest or Gatorade over Powerade or whatever, the campaign that I was involved in, to now redirect it to something very directly beneficial to people. And not that those products don't help people's lives, but there's something more purposeful on doing things that have a direct impact on another person's life. And I was fortunate that I had a platform to do that, and also a passion, and then just all the other things that go with that to keep it going. And I also, The fact that no one does it alone. I would say that one of the challenges of small nonprofits, in fact, I know this to be true, is that you run out of gas. The fatigue that comes, especially if you're emotionally attached to something and and the adrenaline, that energy that says, I'm going to do this, is powerful, and it guides you, and just, it's invigorating. And there are moments, some sooner than others, that same sort of biology creates this fatigue that is overpowering, and can take you to the point where I can't do this anymore. I've had those moments for sure. Ensuring that you have people helping you, and so I think it's a small nonprofit often will be, oh gosh, it needs to be 100% volunteer. Well, there are not many nonprofits that are 100% volunteer that have any staying power. You have to professionalize. You have to have a board, and you have to bring professionals on, at some point. I've experienced that, and I've watched it on both sides. And so in the case of Head for the Cure, had a lot of people help me. I would say I've been the engine behind it, no doubt, and I say that with grace. But man, a lot of people have helped me emotionally, certainly financially, and also intellectually. So been lucky there.
I'm glad you brought that up. I think sometimes there's, we think nonprofit, well, free. And, it is work,
Sure
albeit very noble and worthwhile. But I think your advice is great to share. I'm very remiss in not telling people where can they go to get all the most up-to-date information about the Kansas City event.
Yes, that's absolutely. So headforthecure.org is the platform that carries all of our history, all of our programs, all of our, and also right on the homepage is find the next event. So it's headforthecure.org/MetroKC is the registration for the event upcoming on August 28th. And we're really in a good place. I always, I said already that I'm relentless. So we've set lofty goals here. We want this to be our biggest yet. And we're tracking toward that. So that's exciting. And
that's what I saw.
But it's going to be a party too. That's the other thing. We've got great live music. We have, oh my gosh, it's a family fun thing. We've got everything from virtually every mascot. And so Casey Wolf and Slugger and the Jayhawk and the Monarchs and the Sporting, all the mascots are going to be there. We've got a petting zoo. We've got pickleball courts. We have, 8 food trucks. We have an obstacle course. It's so, yes, we have a 5K run, walk, but the program around it, it's going to be an all morning long party. And so and know that we have these great national sponsors that keep our costs down. So just by registering and rounding up or being part of a team, those funds go to support our programs at KU and Children's and the Brain Tumor Trials Collaborative. So headforthecure.org/MetroKC, donate, register, participate, hang out. It's great. It's a great time. August 28th, Corporate Woods.
And if you miss it, you can donate at any time.
Absolutely.
You can participate at any time. You're in 35 cities?
We're in 28 this year. We've paused a few. But we'll grow again next year. So, but that's still a lot. I mean, that's a lot. So if you see, and you'll see it, our 30-foot Head for the Cure trailer that holds our start finish line, all our tents, our timing equipment. So a couple of weeks ago we were in Seattle. You can imagine, and Scott Chilcott, who drives that thing, from Kansas City to Seattle and back. Next week he's in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and then so we cover a lot of miles, and it's and then you're right. You mentioned our 5Ks they're the anchor. But yet we're trying to do, and we are doing more events through the year. third-party events, golf tournaments, pickleball tournaments. Different people are finding things they like to do. We have a bike ride upcoming this year. So in fact, this is cool for all you cyclists, and that happens to be my passion. The Tour de Beer, which is an annual event in Kansas City that Bike Walk put on, is now a Head for the Cure event. So Bike Walk came to us and said, we don't want to produce this anymore. We'd like Head for the Cure. So that's September 18th down at Berkeley Park on the River Center. So
fantastic. So I think what a great way and thought to end on, that you have taken this, you've grown it. And bottom line is we're doing research and hopefully better treatments and cures. Matt, amazing stuff.
Oh, Ruth, thanks so much. I always enjoy our conversations, and thank you to Casey Cares for doing what you say. You connect the nonprofit community to the profit community and make people understand the importance of all of this. So thank you for your support, as always.
Thank you for joining us on KC Cares, Kansas City's nonprofit voice. We're produced by Charitable Communications. This KC Cares segment was brought to you by the Ewing Marion Kaufman Foundation, www.kaufman.org. To learn more about KC Cares, visit our website, www.kccaresonline, and spread the love. You'll find us on Facebook and Twitter at KC Cares Radio and Instagram at KC Cares Online. And don't forget, you can catch us at 8 a.m. on mornings on ESPN 1510 AM and 94.5 FM. Thank you for joining us on KC Cares.